right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Clarion Chats. This is going to be our last podcast episode for the semester. So we will be coming back next semester and we're going to be a little bit rebranded. It'll probably be myself, you'll see a little bit more, and then some other co-hosts. I might have one other and then some guests, or we might just be trading them out. It really just depends on who we can get on the show that day. So today I do have Ismael with me here. And he works with me over at the Clarion. And you've been on multiple times. How many times have you been on?
This will be my third podcast.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So you guys are familiar with him. Today we are going to go over some of the Clarion news, some of the global news, and then we're going to talk about different holidays in December. So that should be a lot of fun. I did a lot of research, and I know you were doing some research as well.
Yep.
And I found out a bunch of stuff that I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things about the month of December. You have all these awesome holidays, and it's a great opportunity to kind of learn about other cultures, other customs and stuff.
That's what I was finding out. I thought that I knew some stuff, and then when I was looking it up, I realized I didn't know like anything. So it was fun to look that up. So like I said, we are going to be revamping. I haven't really figured out exactly what that is going to mean for us, but I'm hoping that we can get some new equipment, and we're going to be shooting from different angles and things so we can put this podcast across at different forms of social media. So if you are around campus, we do have our November magazine out. So make sure that you grab that because it is completely free. So please take it with you. We have some really awesome articles in there, including our first Spanish article.
Yeah. And I have to say, working on that entire magazine was a great pleasure. It was a great privilege. Writing that article in Spanish was definitely one of the biggest challenges I've had in my career, but it was a challenge that I'm really, really pleased to have taken up. And just the response that I've gotten from people on campus, from professors, and people outside of the Sinclair community has been absolutely wonderful. So definitely give it a read. Not just the article in Spanish, all of them, because they all are absolutely epic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm also really proud of it. I didn't have any articles in it, but the whole magazine I think is amazing. And I think it's really cool that we have a Spanish article in there because I don't think that we have a lot of maybe diversity in some of our other issues. And this one really brought that to the forefront. So I think that was really cool. We also have our social media platforms. If you guys want to follow us on that, it's at Sinclair Clarion. And we are new to Threads this week. So that is kind of like Instagram's Twitter X. So go ahead and give us a follow on that. And then we have some really cool stuff happening at Sinclair next week, as well as the rest of the month. So one of those things is next week we have the Game Escape and the Winter Wonderland. And we're going to be posting about that stuff on Mondays. We have on our platforms now. Every Monday we're going to post about different Sinclair events. And then on, we have the Home Alone children's play, which is starting on December 14th. And that is really cool. We had a couple of the actors on the show before. That there's Ethan, he was on, and Edward. They were both on for different things, but they're both going to be in this play. And it is $8 tickets, and there's going to be 7 different performances. They're all listed on the website, and it starts on December 14th.
It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited.
Now, are there going to be any like traps? The kind of hijinks that we're used to seeing in the Home Alone movies?
That's a good question. I should have asked when they were on here because I mentioned that it was coming, but I didn't really ask like what it was about. But that would be really cool. I know for their last performance they had, I think. Trying to remember, Ethan said there was only like 10 performers or something, and they had like multiple, like each one had multiple parts. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if it's going to be that same sort of thing. But I think it's really cool, and it's for children, and it'll be after campus closes. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a good opportunity for people to like bring their kids out, bring your families out, and have something to do for the holidays. But it should be fun. I think
especially because it gets people out of the house. With it being winter, things are getting, the weather's getting colder. So
dark and gloomy.
Right, dark and gloomy. So any opportunity to get out there with the family, I think is a welcome opportunity. Yeah. And also, you're going to see a play about Home Alone, at least the first two movies were absolute classics. Don't tell me about the ones that were made afterwards, but the first two definitely were awesome. So it's a great introduction to theater in general for kids, and just a good time. So
yeah,
if you can, go ahead and go check it out.
Yeah. And speaking of the other Home Alones, I didn't realize how many there were. I was making like a Christmas movie checklist for my daughter who's 6, and I pulled them up, and there's like 5 of them now.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, I was like, what? There was even like a more recent one that came out within the past like 5 years, and
Wow.
all the new ones all have different kids, so it's not like they're like keeping up this story with one child,
Right? Or one family.
Yeah, I was like, I think we just need to let this die now.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, if Macaulay Culkin isn't in it,
right,
it's not Home Alone.
Although now that you say that, that would be interesting if they like redid it and he was the parent.
That would be amazing.
Now I kind of want that to happen. Can we make that happen? That'd be cool.
Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, we're putting that into the universe. If you hear us, make the movie. So I did want to just mention some different holiday stuff that is happening in like the Dayton area, Cincinnati area. I've taken my daughter to a lot of these events, and they're really cool. So there is the Carillon Park, which if you haven't been over there in the past year, they have a brand new train that opened, and it's a ride-along or a ride-in train. It's really wide, and it goes along this beautiful track and takes you through all the lights that they have there. And I think it's only like $5 or $8 a ticket, like extra to ride per person. And then there is the Kings Island, the lights that they have there. I know that it's included in season pass, but I don't remember what the price is if you aren't a pass holder. But that one's really cool. And I think they still have some of the rides open, I believe. I don't know. I think it's limited what rides are open, but I think some of them are still open. We went last year and they had a cookie station, like a cookie making station, which my daughter really liked. She was 5, and they had a parade with Santa, which was kind of cool.
I like parades.
Yeah, so it was different. There's the Woodland Lights, which are in Centerville, and that's just like a walk-through lighted thing. They have Santa. They had a horse and carriage you get to ride in, and then a little tiny train. The Cincinnati Zoo. Have you been to that?
No, so I haven't been to Kings Island either. So you're actually...
You should go.
Yeah, you're I'm really liking what you're putting down here.
Yeah,
because
it's a lot of fun.
I like parades. I like cookies. Not really a fan of rides, but I mean, if I have to get on a ride to get to the cookies, then
yeah,
I'm
just
in.
have the cookies at the end when you get off.
Right. So what's going on at the zoo?
They have a lot of lights. So I think that you can actually go earlier in the day, but we went when it was dark. But I think it opens around 2:30, so you can still see the animals in the daytime.
Okay.
Because when we went, a lot of them were asleep. It was dark. But the lights are amazing, and they have these really cool thing. They have animals that are lit up like in lights, and they're formed kind of like it looks like paper mache almost.
Okay.
But they had like a big sloth that was hanging from a tree. They had these really big jellyfish like hanging. They were just
that sounds cool.
Really
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like when you initially started speaking about that, I was like, wait, they put lights on the what?
No, like made into shapes.
Is that legal? Like
they had this cool like beehive with these bees all over. It was really cool. And we did the train ride, which looked forever long, but it only took I think 40 minutes for us to get on. So it wasn't terrible. And that was cool. I think it's less than 8 minutes and it's really slow, but it was cool. You get to see all the lights. My daughter loved it. So that was fun. And then the last thing that I know of that we do is we go to the Yuletide Village, which have you ever been to the Renaissance Festival?
No.
Okay. Well, that's a whole other story.
Right.
But we go to the Renaissance Festival every year, and this is at the same location.
Okay.
And it's really cool. They have a lot of the same booths open. Like a lot of the vendors come back for this. They have hot chocolate stations. We got hot mulled wine. There's a Krampus that walks around that you can get pictures with. So that's really cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything different. Oh, they had a train this year. Last year they had they did have live animals this year too, but last year they had little ponies that kids could ride on, and this year there was a train.
So trains seem to be in vogue.
Yes.
Right? In the Dayton area.
And Christmas.
Trains and
They
Christmas.
go together, I guess. Right. So we do have some big news that you might be aware of or you might not be aware of. I personally did not know who this person was. So I'm going to hand it over to Ismael, but Henry Kissinger died at age 100. And I know that that's really big news and I should know more about it, but I don't. So can you inform us?
Yeah, so Henry Kissinger was and remains a very controversial figure in U.S. history, right? But he is principally remembered for being one of our chief diplomats and negotiators during the Vietnam era. So the fact that he lived to 100 is remarkable, especially in light of the fact that many of the people who were heavily impacted by his decisions would not be lucky enough to live to be even half that or a quarter of it.
Wow.
So ironically, he is a Nobel Prize winner, a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Oh.
A lot of people see that as an extremely controversial decision. Some people would go as far as to call him a war criminal.
Interesting.
He was definitely a major political figure from that period, and there are definitely going to be people out there who like him and who celebrate his achievements, but by no means will everyone be doing that. So
okay. Sounds like he's pretty polarizing then.
Very.
Interesting. Huh. Well, I'm going to have to do some more research on that because I feel like I should be more informed being in the journalism department than I am. So we'll go ahead and switch over to some more fun stuff here, including different holidays this month, traditions, where they come from, how they started, and how people and what kind of people celebrate them. So to start, for the whole month of December is International Human Rights Movement Month. So I think that is really interesting. And compared to other months and types of things, I think that one's a really good one to have. Like it affects everybody, no matter where you live. Human rights movements,
right. It's super important that we remember just how vital human rights are, and just to keep the spirit of spreading those rights as far and as wide as we can is extremely important. I mean, people sometimes, especially here in America, we take them for granted. So it's important for us to kind of reflect on, how we were able to make the strides that we've made and how far we have to go. So it's definitely a really, really important month, and I think it comes at a really great time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
December is a month where a lot of people are a lot more receptive to these messages. People are a lot more giving, a lot more caring. And it's just kind of like, you look at it this way, it's a reminder to be that caring and that giving throughout the year.
I like that. And that it does fit well with the holidays and stuff that are in this month.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're just going to go in order of the days here, not every day has something, although actually it does. It could be something as simple as
we learned,
sock day or something.
Right?
Yeah.
As we learned while doing research.
But we're going to go over the big ones here. So December 1st is actually Rosa Parks Day. And traditionally, she is known for not giving up her seat on a public transit bus. Now, I learned a couple facts, and I don't know if you know these facts or not, but one of them is that she was not in a whites-only section of the bus. Like, I think I have heard before that might be, I don't remember because it was a long time ago when I learned about Rosa Parks in school, but I think that might have been what I was taught. But she was actually in a middle part of the bus, and it was not like mixed race, but African American people were allowed to sit there until the white only spaces were filled, and then they were expected to give their seat up. So that is what happened. A white gentleman walked on the bus and there was no more spots for him. So he expected for her to give up her seat. And that's when the bus driver intervened and really wanted for her to get out of her seat. And she didn't. And I read a quote from her as well, because a lot of people were saying that it was just because she was old or overly tired. And she was only 42 at the time that this happened.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was like, I was not physically tired. I was emotionally tired of standing up. So I just thought that was really interesting. And I know I did a project when I was like in second grade or something, when you have to pick a person, and she's who I did. So I remember learning more about her, but I did not know those facts.
Yeah, Rosa Parks is definitely a legend, and someone we can all learn something from. Yet another reason to look back and reflect on where we came from, and just kind of remind ourselves to emulate these great figures and apply, the lessons that they've taught us, apply it in our day-to-day lives. Because Rosa Parks, if she hadn't stood up, one would hate to think of what would have happened, right? If she hadn't.
Right, if she had stood up.
If she had stood up and moved out of the way, if she hadn't stood up for her values, is what I mean.
Yeah.
One wonders if we would, the great number of people that have been inspired by her, who would they have had to look up to? You know what I mean? So definitely a figure that everyone in America owes something to, and someone that we definitely should celebrate.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with all of that. And another little tidbit that I found out, and I forget her name right now, and I feel really bad about it. Started with a C. But Rosa Parks was not the first woman arrested because of this. She was the second. There was a 15-year-old arrested 2 weeks before her. And again, her name started with a C, and it's totally escaping me. I should have written it down. We're not honoring your memory correctly. But I was taught that Rosa Parks was the first arrested. And it's just interesting to me that she wasn't. But she's the one that we know and celebrate. And there were so many other people along with her that I think you have to pick one to celebrate.
That campaigned and marched. And that's another thing to keep in mind, is that Rosa Parks Day isn't just about Rosa Parks.
Right.
It's about what she represents.
Right.
And the people that were with her.
Yep.
So
that's what, I think that's a really important point. It's what she represents, not just her. So moving on to December 3rd, it is a Sunday, and that starts Advent. And Advent goes for the next 4 weeks every Sunday. And it is preparation for Christmas. It's known as the season of candlelight, reflection, and expectation. Now, I found that a lot of these holidays, then when I was looking up, they have a lot to do with candles. Like 3 of them that we mentioned here. Hanukkah and Kwanzaa does as well. Right. All with candles. And their candles all either have different meanings or different colors for meanings. And I just think that's so interesting that they all kind of tie in together, because this is Christian. So this is a Christian thing. And the first candle is hope. Second is peace. Third is joy. And fourth is love. And I think when we go over the other holidays here, that when you see how they either coincide with each other or they're kind of parallel, it's just interesting because it's 3 different religions, 3 different holidays.
Right. And I think that goes back to winter. Yeah. And what winter represents for a lot of people around the world, and how even during what some would consider the darkest period of the year, right, there's still light.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And that's a reflection that, multiple religions make. So going back to Advent, though, it's not just a celebration where, people are preparing for Christmas. In my research, I learned that it's also essentially a celebration of the birth of Jesus. And it's also preparation for the second coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
According to Britannica.
Okay, yeah. See, this is why I'm glad that we did separate research, so we found out different things. So.
And which brings us to our next major holiday that is typically associated with candles.
Yeah. I have that one, is Hanukkah.
Right.
So we skipped over one that I was going to do. Hey. But that one was just, I'll go over it real fast.
Right.
It is St. Nicholas Day, which is on December 6th.
Okay.
I did not know what that was. Do you know what that? Are you aware of what that is?
No.
Okay. I had heard about it on social media. I have friends who they would like leave out, they'd post their child getting one gift and they're like, it's St. Nicholas Day. And I'm like, it's the beginning of December. It's not Christmas. Like I was always so confused. And then I just never looked it up, even though I should have. But St. Nicholas was a bishop in the 4th century and he's kind of parallel to St. Nick for Christmas. And he was famously known for giving and leaving coins in people's shoes and surprise gifts. It's kind of very similar to Santa.
He sounds like a nice guy.
Yeah. And he, people would leave a boot in front of their fireplace for a treat. So again, very similar to Christmas, just a different day. And it's more about him rather than like Jesus's birthday. So, but this is where Krampus comes in, where I talked about Krampus, mentioned him earlier. And I guess that this is the day. I had always thought when I heard Krampus before that meant Christmas, that he came on Christmas Day. But I guess that Krampus comes on St. Nicholas Day with him. He's his counterpoint, and he either leaves coal or kidnaps naughty children.
Oh, well, that got pretty dark.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any Krampus movies or anything, or know anything about Krampus?
Now, I've seen trailers for Krampus movies.
Okay.
So from what these trailers suggested, he was like an evil Santa Claus.
Yeah,
but
basically.
I didn't know he kidnapped people.
Yeah. That's like what people would tell their children to keep them acting appropriately, is that they'd be like, Krampus is going to come and kidnap you. So it's
wow,
kind of scary, but I understand now why they made scary movies out of it.
Right. If that doesn't keep someone in line, then
yeah,
nothing else will. I think it's kind of funny though that like people were leaving like boots near their fireplaces. I just wonder if they were doing that while he was alive and just expecting Saint Nick to just be like,
just. Oh man,
like, who's this guy in my house?
I know, stranger danger. No.
Oh no, that's Nicholas. He's cool.
Yeah,
but his friend boot him out.
Yeah, Krampus, get out of here. So now we go to Hanukkah, which starts on December 7th this year. I found this to be very interesting as well, is that Hanukkah can start on any day of the week except a Tuesday.
Wow.
Is what I found out.
I didn't know that.
I know. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I just always assumed it was like how Christmas is December 25th. I just always thought that it was like the same day, but I guess that's not true.
Now, is there a reason that it can't start on Tuesday?
I'm sure there is, but I did not find out what it is.
No, you got to go on Britannica. Next time you got to go on Britannica.
It said that Jewish holidays, now I don't remember if it was 4 or 5, but it can only be started on certain days of the week.
Okay.
So there are certain days where they can't be started, and Hanukkah cannot be started on a Tuesday.
Now, during my research, I learned that Hanukkah commemorates the victories of the Maccabean forces who were many centuries ago waging war on the Seleucid Empire. So the Seleucids were, and I heard of them before, they were a successor state that essentially was created in the aftermath of Alexander the Great's death. So they took a large chunk of what was the eastern portion of Alexander's empire, and their first king was a gentleman named Seleucus Nicator. And so Seleucus, of course, he gave his name to that dynasty, and they would eventually spread, conquer places as far as parts of India, Syria, what we call the Levant, and other parts of the Middle East, including Jerusalem. So there's definitely a lot of history there, and it's very interesting that a celebration began so long ago continues to be very important today.
Yeah, that is very true. And I didn't know all of that. I've heard of parts of that story, but I didn't know all of that. I know that it's like the Festival of Lights, and like we mentioned, candles is a recurring theme. So they have 8 candles, and they put them in the menorah. And it's a celebration of the candle staying lit for 8 days when they only had oil enough for 1 day.
Right. So it
Now
commemorates.
they have, the 8 days.
And it also represents light defeating darkness.
I love that. That also reminds me of Harry Potter because I'm a nerd. You know the quote I'm talking about.
I do not remember much of those movies. So
get out of here. No.
Well, yeah, now you have to say the quote.
It is light. Oh, I forget exactly.
Man,
I know.
If you don't,
I have it on my wall too. But it's light can be found even in the darkest of places or something. It's very similar to that. But I know you guys are going to come for me. So comment what it is. Also, I found this to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The dreidel. Have you heard of that? The toy. It's like the spin, the
Yeah.
top. So they had that back, and it didn't give me the exact years, but it was when Greek soldiers would go in and children would be reading the Torah, and they would use the dreidel as a distraction because they weren't allowed to be Jewish or read the Torah. And they would read the dreidel as a distraction so that the soldiers would think that they were gambling instead of being religious.
Oh,
I had no
wow.
idea about that. And I was like, what? That's crazy. But I remember that song, which I'm not going to sing. Did you ever learn that song? The dreidel song?
No.
Yeah.
Did you have one growing up?
No.
Okay.
No, but we learned it in school, like in music class.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, and then there's words, but I will not sing it. But yeah. But I remember we learned that like in public school,
Wow.
the dreidel song.
Wow. That's interesting. And
Yep.
fun, another fun fact, the cello kids were mostly Greek. I mean, they being in the eastern part of the empire over time, they became more through mixing with their different populations. They became different, but early on, they were very, very Greek. So,
Interesting.
very interesting point there. Yeah.
So the next day we have is Sunday, December 17th. And this comes with two things, but we're really only going to go into depth on one of them. But it is National Maple Syrup Day, which I just thought was interesting. That's the only fun fact day I threw in there.
I love it. I love it already. I don't know anything about it.
I don't either, but
as a fan of maple syrup, though, I endorse that day. I like it.
It is the same day as Wright Brothers Day.
Ooh, so I am a fan of the Wright brothers,
Yep.
and it's very fitting that we're talking about this in Dayton, Ohio.
I know. And I don't know about you because you were not born in Ohio, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just so everybody knows. But I was not born here either, but I was raised here. I moved here when I was 3, and I have a lot of pride in the fact that flight came from Dayton, and North Carolina's license plates say home of flight.
They're fooling themselves.
And I'm like, what?
And
that makes me mad every time I see that.
And like North Carolina has so much other stuff they could claim.
I know.
Like, come
I'm like,
on, leave
why-
Dayton alone.
Why is that on your license plate?
Yeah, leave Dayton
I
alone,
don't
man.
understand. But I know they flew there first, and that's like one of my interesting facts that I have there. But they were not born there; they were from here. So they flew at Kill Devil Hills in North Carolina.
Oh my God, that is such an awesome name.
I know. I was like, I wonder if they just like picked that spot
Because of the
specifically.
name.
Yeah, because I definitely would. I'd be like, that's the spot. But it looks like they flipped a coin to see who would go first.
Uh-oh.
And it was Wilbur, but his first attempt failed. So he won the coin toss, but he didn't make it into the air.
Oh, man.
So,
You know what would really suck
What?
is if he used a double-sided coin.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
That
hey,
would be
Orville,
true.
Orville. Yeah, let's use one of my coins, buddy. And then he still...
And then just bombed it. But so Orville technically was the first one in flight, and he got 12 seconds.
There we go.
And then Wilbur on his second time got 59 seconds and went 852 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy in that like rickety old airplane.
Can you imagine being all, that high up, right? You're that high up and you're just looking down and you know for a fact that you have just achieved a dream that humanity has been wanting since like forever,
I know.
Since first encountering birds.
Yep.
I'm sure the first man that saw birds was like, whoa, let me try that. I was never heard from again. He jumps off like a mountain or something. And then the other humans are like, yeah.
Makes a makeshift cave and tries to like jump off buildings. I can do it.
Yeah, we never liked Bob anyway.
Yeah.
Don't be like Bob.
Oh man. I'd be so scared to be in that plane though. I don't even think they had seatbelts, did they? I'm trying to remember.
And that's the thing. Like people get scared of flying nowadays, right? Just imagine back then. Like,
no, thank you.
I mean, those guys are really brave. Really brave.
They were really brave. Yes, they were. Brave or stupid. Brave because it worked.
Exactly. That's kind of the line that separates bravery from stupidity, I guess.
So the next one here is Thursday, December 21st. And this one also is two different things. So it is winter solstice. So that means that it is the shortest day of the year. And I found this really interesting, that it is 9 hours shorter than the longest day in terms of light.
Wow.
9 hours.
That's
insane.
Right.
That's like a whole day.
It's so gloomy. That reminds me of that movie. I can't remember what it's called, but it's that movie where like is it 30 Days of Night? Where
30 Days of Night, or 30, yeah, I think so. I don't think it's 30 Days of Dark. I think it is 30 Days of Night.
Where there's like those vampires that come out.
Creepy.
Man, vampires would be the only people that would be happy about the shortest day of the year. The vampires in Ohio are looking at that like that's my day. Yeah,
that's it. That's the day they come out.
Dinner time.
Oh man. But I don't think we have vampire bats here, do we? Or do we?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Now I need to know. I'm going to look that up.
I don't want to know. If we have them, they've left me alone until now. And if we don't, I just rather pretend like they're, just pretend.
Leave them alone.
Yeah. Like if you're a vampire and you're listening to this, look, I'm not against you guys or anything. I'm just joking. You don't want my blood. You want Jamie.
No. I'm toxic.
Yeah, my blood is salty.
Salty.
I eat a lot of salty foods.
Mine's basically at this point just pure caffeine.
Oh wow. Not even like hot coffee. Yeah, they don't want you.
No.
No.
I take what I can get. This is what downstairs.
Double shot.
Yeah. So it is also Yule.
Yule, yeah. So I've worked with people who celebrate Yule, and the way they described it to me was essentially an ancient pagan holiday that was originally commemorated in Scandinavia.
That's what I found too.
By the Vikings and their ancestors there.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. If you know anyone who is a practicing pagan or who looks like a Viking, go ahead and wish them a happy Yule.
Go to the Renaissance Festival.
Go to the Ren Fair, yeah.
I mean, it is the Yuletide village. So I bet that's how they got the name.
Right.
Yeah. So I found out something.
But I just want to ask before we go to the next thing is like, what would you gift someone for Yule? Like an axe or
beard beads?
Beard beads. Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier. Yes.
Oh, that's for
give out some beard beads
for women too.
Yes, for all their chin hairs. No, they could put them in their braids and their hair if they have like dreadlocks or something.
Maybe. I was thinking maybe like because you mentioned this interesting hobby you have, which is like throwing axes.
Okay, I was like, I have lots of hobbies.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be like a nice gift for like a...
That would be, yeah, because there is a couple of axe throwing places. I know there's one for sure in Beaver Creek. That would be cool.
They can just practice.
Yeah. Or if you do go to the Yuletide Village, they have some really cool horn mugs.
That's a good idea. That is a great idea.
And that would go, I think,
they can channel their inner Thor.
Yes.
Right?
I want to have, this is like a dream of mine, is to go to a bar but it has to be like an old time bar, not any bar. Otherwise they're going to think I'm crazy, and have like one of those big like pint mugs and like slam it down and be like, another. And I feel like I could do that with that mug.
Oh, you went way back. You went way back. Man.
I went and I held one of those in my hand and I was like, this is sturdy enough to get the job done.
I need mead. She needs mead.
Another. But
do you start a fight afterwards, or you just
yeah
go to
I'm gonna
sleep?
just punch everybody around me.
Uh-oh.
The Yule tree is actually what inspired the Christmas tree, though.
Wow.
Did you know that? Because I didn't.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was a Yule tree in a place called Uppsala that was really, really famous. I'm not sure, but they used to hang things on it.
Huh. Maybe that's where we get it from.
Maybe. Well, the things that were hung weren't exactly Christmas decorations.
Shrunken heads.
Entrails.
Yeah, oh, jeez. Well,
People.
I mean, the entrails could work as like the garlands.
Sausage.
I mean, yeah.
Human sausage.
Oh, man.
I also, just one last point is just like, I just find it so interesting how axe throwing is a hobby. Like, how did that happen? You know?
Yeah, that is a very.
Must have been a guy just outside, like aiming at someone, and then he missed, and the police like, hey, just my hobby, man. You know,
just my hobby. I want to get into knife throwing though. Now that you mentioned that, but there's no place to do that. But I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
just to know how.
See, that's why we don't hang out outside the office. Like,
I'm not just gonna be like spearing you with knives. Yet.
No, but exactly. Yeah, I don't. It's not how I want to go out.
I think it would be cool. I don't know. At the Kettering Rec Center, my daughter used to take judo classes there, and they have adult fencing and archery.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want to learn how to do that.
That is cool.
Just for fun.
So what type of swords do they use for the fencing? Like,
what is that called? A saber.
Okay.
At the tip.
Okay.
Yeah. So no blood.
Yeah.
Like Wednesday, if you ever watch that show.
I have seen it.
You don't like it?
No, I'm a fan of the Addams Family. Definitely a fan. No, definitely a fan of the Addams Family.
I love Wednesday. She's my spirit animal.
I wonder what she's getting for you.
That's a good question.
A double-sided axe.
Yes. So the next holiday we come to is Christmas. So we have
what's that? I'm kidding.
We have Christmas Eve is on Sunday this year on the 24th, and Christmas Day is on a Monday, the 25th. Now, I found this to be a very interesting fact. I don't exactly know how accurate it is. It came from a church website. So if I'm incorrect, I apologize. But it said that 70 to 90% of Americans who celebrate Christmas don't identify themselves as Christians.
Don't look at me. I don't celebrate Christmas.
I know. I just think it's an interesting fact.
It's very interesting. I wonder what that's based off of. Did they like go around?
Yeah, I know.
Hey, you. Come here. Celebrate Christmas.
Are you a Christian? Do you celebrate? Do you have a tree in your house?
Wow, that's an interesting stat, and I just wonder where it comes from. But it is true that a lot of people who aren't Christian celebrate Christmas, and you know, who can blame them, man? You get like a free gift, and you get to meet your family, and it's one of the few days a year that the vast majority of people are off. So you're going to be seeing your family, anyway. So you might as for some people they might think might as well pull up a tree, might as well get a gift, ugly sweater, eat
Speaking
good food.
of ugly sweaters, I went to the store to go find some, and I can't find one anywhere. They're on Amazon, but...
And that's a Christmas tradition that I'm very curious about. Why on earth would you give someone an ugly sweater? How did that start? I don't want to
give it to anybody. I don't know how that started. I think that's so weird. Maybe it started with like the grandmas that were like meaning well, and they like made them, and then they would just happen to be ugly, and then people made fun of them and decided. Wow. I wanted to wear mine as like a gag gift to this party I'm going to. Like a gag, not a gag gift because I'm wearing it, but like a gag outfit.
I want to say You don't want to hear about my gag gifts. Like, we won't even get started.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on that.
Right.
Now, if you don't know what Christmas is, it does celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Mary and Joseph from Nazareth, and he was born in a manger. And that is Christmas. And I did find out, though, now I did know this, but I don't know what the real date is. And this was, again, from the church website that I found, that Jesus's real birthday is not on the 25th, but they do not know when it is. So that is the day that Christians celebrate.
Interesting fact. And I learned this some years ago, but it's, different denominations of Christianity celebrate Christmas at different times. So like Greek Orthodox, they celebrated at one time, Ethiopian Orthodox another time. And it was very, very interesting when I traveled to Cyprus, and I made sure it was after the 25th, and then I got there sometime in January, and like everything was closed. It was because that was their Christmas period at that time. So
interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. And they celebrate it differently, depending on the denomination and where someone is. And it just really goes to show you how different parts of the world do things differently, and how even within one organized faith, you've got all these different traditions and customs. It's seeing that kind of diversity is beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. That is really cool. So this comes to really our last, well, we have a couple. So these two are going to be on the same day here. And I don't mean to rush through these, but I have to get my daughter off the bus, so I can't stay super long. But we're going to give as much information in here as we can. So on December 26th is Boxing Day. So I'm just going to go over a couple things of that real fast. It's mostly celebrated from Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. It is celebrated other places as well, but that's just the main places. And it originated from servants that would wait on their masters during Christmas. The day after Christmas, they were allowed to take home boxes that had leftover food or gifts or whatnot, and they would celebrate with their family then. So that is how Boxing Day came around.
Nowadays, it's just a great day to shop.
Yeah.
So if you see someone giving a box to someone on Boxing Day, don't get the wrong idea. Okay, that's been abolished.
Yeah. Yeah. No more servants. So it is also the start of Kwanzaa on the same day, December 26th. And that is a 7-day celebration. So it goes from the 26th to January 1st. And it comes from a Swahili phrase I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, but it means first fruits. So it is actually an agricultural harvest festival, and it is not a religious holiday.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but Kwanzaa has its roots, if I'm not mistaken, in the 60s with a researcher who apparently wanted to create a holiday that allowed African Americans to kind of get back in touch with their roots. And so that's why, you have some of the phrases that are used for Kwanzaa. You have some of those that link back to Swahili culture. And Swahili, if you guys don't know, that's a language that is predominantly spoken in East Africa, around Tanzania and Zanzibar. But there are a lot of other areas, a lot of other countries that speak it as well, like Burundi. But yeah, and so that's why, the principles of Kwanzaa, there are 7 principles, and each one is named after a Swahili word and concept. But despite it connecting people back to Africa and their African roots, it's very much an American holiday.
Yeah, it looks like it was first celebrated in 1966.
Wow.
So, yeah, which really surprised me because I guess in my mind, I always thought that it was a religious holiday, but I didn't specifically know like what religion it would be tied to.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that fact, I just assumed that it like went way back, like the other religious holidays that we're speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot when I researched what Kwanzaa is. Like you mentioned, there's the 7 candles with the 7 principles, but then I also learned that there is 3 specific colors that they use. So there's black, which represents the people, red for struggle, and green is for future and hope, which I thought all of that was very interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Very interesting, very beautiful colors and messages. And, anything that brings people together for a good, positive reason is something that should be celebrated. So
yeah, for sure. And then the last thing that I am going to mention is holiday-wise for December is New Year's Eve. That one is obviously on December 31st. So I have a bunch of different traditions here that I went ahead and wrote down, and I didn't necessarily write where they are from, but these are from various countries all over the world. So one of them is to dress in dots.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
One of them was to wear all white.
Okay.
Another is, which this one is pretty American, I think, is to make a New Year's resolution.
All right.
There's to eat fish.
Okay.
Yeah. Smash a plate.
No.
Eat.
Not in my house.
Eat 12 grapes.
Okay.
Kiss a loved one, which again, I think is kind of an American thing. You're supposed to like kiss somebody when the ball drops.
That's sad though that you have to wait. Imagine there's that one family, that
is true.
It's just the one day a year they kiss each other.
That is sad.
And you guys should be kissing each other every day. Always
all
kiss your loved ones.
And the last one that I wrote down is to open windows and doors, and that lets all the bad stuff out and all the good stuff in for the new year.
Some people, so for these to be traditions, people's houses must be very stuffy wherever that is. They keep it closed all year. And then,
yeah, they're just like, goodbye,
fresh air,
Judo.
Fresh air. That's not bad energy. That's you needing fresh air, man.
Yeah, I need to get outside more. No,
exactly.
So it really is going to wrap up our podcast for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, not only to this one, but all of our previous episodes as well. We will be back next semester. We're going to be similar, but just hopefully a little bit better, a little bit elevated. So make sure that you follow us on social media. Like I said, it's at Sinclair Clarion. And then if you ever want to advertise or be a guest on our show, you can go ahead and send us an email at clarion@sinclair.edu. And that is it for December. And I guess that I get to use the corny joke here. We'll see you next year. Have you heard that? Like, I'm in retail, so I hear that all the time. People are like, see you next year. And it's like January 31st, and they think they're funny. It's always old men. And you have
all dad jokes.
Yeah, huh? I laugh, but I'm like, it's not like I've heard this every year.
I'm laughing because I'm employed here and I have to.
Yeah. But that is it. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next year.
See ya. Bye-bye.